Sarah and Mike's Mediterranean dream cruise turned into an $89,000 nightmare when Mike had a stroke 200 miles off the coast of Italy. Their travel insurance paid exactly $0. Here's why, and why yours might do the same. The ship's nurse checks Mike's vitals and tells Sarah, "We can't treat this here. We're stabilizing him for evacuation." Within hours, a helicopter touches down, rotor wash whipping deck chairs, passengers watching in stunned silence. Mike is airlifted to Rome. Sarah spends 3 days on hold with their insurance company only to hear that's not covered under your policy. They're not alone. In 2024, over 11,000 cruise passengers needed emergency medical care. Nearly 40% faced claim denials or partial coverage. A ruptured appendix in Cozumel, a heart attack in Alaska, a broken hip in the Bahamas. All 3 travelers thought they were covered. All 3 were denied. One ended up in bankruptcy. You are gambling with 6 figures every time you board without understanding these gaps. Most cruisers think buying travel insurance means they're covered for emergencies. Reality? Standard policies exclude or severely limit offshore care, evacuation, and repatriation. One clause, buried in almost every policy, voids coverage the moment you need it most. We'll explain that in myth number 7. Before you dismiss this as rare bad luck, let me show you the 10 myths that put you at risk, starting with the one 87% of cruisers believe.
I'm Ryan Mitchell, and over the past 9 years, I've helped thousands of cruisers navigate insurance fine print, worked with medical evacuation coordinators, and reviewed over 200 policy documents from every major provider: Allianz, Travel Guard, Squaremouth, and the cruise line's own plans. In the next 25 minutes, I'll walk you through the 10 most dangerous myths, show you exactly what's excluded and why, and give you a free checklist to audit your coverage. By the end, you'll know whether your plan is worth the paper it's printed on, or if you're one medical emergency away from financial devastation. This isn't about scaring you out of cruising. It's about making sure you sail protected. I'll show you affordable fixes for every gap. Most travel bloggers repeat what insurance companies put in their marketing. This video breaks down actual policy language and claim denial patterns that trip up real passengers. Stick around for myth number 7. It's the stabilize and disembark clause, buried in every standard policy. First, let's set the ground rules, what we're comparing and what's changed in 2025. We're focusing on policies available in 2025 for U.S., Canadian, and UK cruisers sailing with major lines: Royal Caribbean, Carnival, Norwegian, MSC, Princess, Celebrity, and Disney. I'll note when luxury or river cruise policies differ. 2025 brought significant changes. The CDC issued new offshore telemedicine guidance that affects how shipboard care is documented. The Coast Guard updated medevac protocols based on recent data. 3 major insurers added COVID-specific exclusions this year that narrow coverage even further. This video isn't about trip cancellation, lost luggage, or routine onboard clinic visits under $500. Those are separate topics. This is about the big stuff: evacuation, hospitalization, repatriation, the scenarios that cost 5 or 6 figures and can wipe out savings. Each myth will show you what the policy says, what actually happens on board, and what to do instead. Let's dive into myth number 1, and it's one that catches families off guard every single sailing.
Myth number 1. The ship's medical center is covered by my insurance. The cruise ship medical center is not a hospital. It's a private clinic, often staffed by contractors, and your domestic health insurance, including Medicare and Medicaid, does not cover it, period. Here's how it works. You need care. The clinic treats you. They swipe your credit card up front. You get an itemized receipt. Then you file the claim with your insurer back home. The ship doesn't bill your insurance directly. Most insurers deny these claims. The The clinic isn't in their network. It's not licensed in your state or country. The treatment happened in international waters where no domestic jurisdiction applies. Your policy says emergency medical coverage up to $50,000, but excludes onboard clinics, contractor-staffed facilities, and international waters treatment. Real pricing hits hard. Stitches run $400 to $800. IV fluids cost $600 or more. A doctor visit is $150 to $250. If you're stabilized on board for days before disembarkation, multiply those numbers fast. Most cruisers assume the ship bills their insurance like urgent care does. That's the mistake. The pro move? Verify your travel insurance specifically covers offshore medical and non-licensed facilities. Look for languages like international providers or maritime medical coverage. A family of 4 sailed Carnival. Their daughter broke her arm on the water slide. Parents paid $2,100 on board, then filed with their insurer. Claim denied, clinic not recognized. Princess and Cunard use a third-party billing system that can sometimes submit claims directly, but it's not guaranteed. Always confirm before sailing. So the ship's clinic is pay first. But what if you need to get off the ship for real care? That's myth number 2, and it's where costs explode.
Myth number 2. Medical evacuation equals helicopter rescue, and it's covered. Picture this. You're 300 miles offshore in the Caribbean. You're having a heart attack. A Coast Guard helicopter lowers a rescue swimmer onto the deck of your ship. Dramatic, right? Also not covered by most standard travel insurance. Evacuation comes in 2 flavors. Ship-to-shore emergency transport, helicopter, Coast Guard, private air ambulance gets you to land. Medical repatriation flies you home after you're stabilized. They're completely separate. Standard policies cap medevac at $25,000 to $50,000. Real-world helicopter evacuation from Alaska or the Mediterranean runs $30,000 to $150,000 or more. Worse, many policies only cover evacuation to the nearest adequate facility. That might be a clinic in Cozumel, not a flight back to Houston. Most cruisers confuse emergency medical with emergency evacuation. They're separate line items in your policy. Emergency medical pays for treatment. Emergency evacuation pays for transport. If your policy doesn't list both, you're not covered for both. The pro move? Add a standalone medical evacuation rider. MedJet and Global Rescue cost $99 to $300 per year. They cover transport to your home hospital. No caps, no questions asked. Real example, a 68-year-old sailed Alaska. Heart attack. Airlifted from Juneau to a Seattle cardiac center. The Coast Guard billed the family $47,000. Insurance paid $25,000. The family paid $22,000 out of pocket. MedJet would have covered the gap and flown him to his home ICU in Phoenix. If you're over 60, have any cardiac history, or you're sailing remote itineraries, Alaska, transatlantic, Antarctica, a medevac rider is non-negotiable. So, you've been evacuated and treated abroad. Now, you need to get home. That's repatriation. And myth number 3 will shock you. Myth number 3. Repatriation, or getting home, is automatically covered. Many policies cover getting you to a hospital, but not getting you home afterward. You've been treated in a Barbados hospital and cleared to travel. You need a medical escort and a business class seat because you can't fly a coach with a leg cast. Your original airline tickets are non-refundable. Who pays? Spoiler, probably you. Standard policies include repatriation language. Read the fine print. It says medically necessary repatriation. Insurers argue that if you're stable, flying home isn't medically necessary. You can recover abroad. Or they cap repatriation at $10,000. A medical escort plus a last-minute business class ticket from Europe can hit $8,000 to $15,000. Most cruisers assume trip interruption covers medical repatriation. It doesn't. Trip interruption reimburses unused cruise fare and flights you already booked. It doesn't cover new medical transport home. Repatriation sounds like they fly you home as something bad happens. What does that actually mean? Only if medically necessary, often capped, and it excludes stable patients. The pro move is to look for policies with unlimited medical repatriation or return of mortal remains. Grim, but critical. A couple sailed Princess. The husband had surgery in Cartagena, Colombia. Cleared to fly after 10 days. Princess rebooked their flights, but insurance denied the $6,200 business class medical escort ticket. Policy said he was stable, so not medically necessary. Some premium credit cards include emergency medical transport benefits up to $100,000. Chase Sapphire Reserve and Amex Platinum both offer this. Check your card benefits guide before buying duplicate coverage. We've covered getting to a hospital and getting home. But what if your condition existed before you booked? That's myth number 4, and it's the number one reason families get denied.
Myth number 4. Pre-existing conditions are covered if I declare them. This is the silent claim killer. You have diabetes. You disclose it when you buy travel insurance. You have a diabetic emergency on the ship. Claim denied. Why? Because disclosure doesn't equal coverage. You needed a pre-existing condition waiver, and you probably missed the deadline. Most insurers exclude pre-existing conditions entirely unless you meet 3 requirements. First, buy a comprehensive plan with a waiver option. Second, purchase it within 10 to 21 days of your initial trip deposit. Third, insure 100% of your prepaid non-refundable costs. Miss any of those 3, and your hypertension, asthma, arthritis, or cancer history can void claims. Insurers define pre-existing broadly. Any condition for which you sought treatment, took medication, or had symptoms in the 60 to 180 days before you purchased the policy counts. Even well-managed conditions. Cruisers think telling the insurer about their diabetes means they're covered. Reality? Disclosure is not a waiver. A waiver is time-limited, purchase-triggered, and all or nothing. The common mistake is buying insurance the week before the cruise and assuming disclosure equals coverage. The pro move? Buy your policy within 14 days of your deposit. Royal and Carnival both remind you at checkout. Verify the pre-existing waiver is active before you close the browser. Real example? A woman with controlled lupus bought insurance 30 days before sailing. She had a flare-up on board requiring IV steroids and missed port days. Claim for $4,800? Denied. Policy had no waiver because she bought outside the window. Pro tip for families. If anyone in your party has any ongoing condition, even well managed, set a calendar reminder to buy insurance the same day you make your deposit. Travelex and Generali have 14-day windows. HTH Worldwide offers 21 days. Read the clock start rules carefully. Pre-existing conditions trip up families. Myth number 5 trips up solo and younger cruisers who think they're invincible. Myth number 5. I'm young and healthy. I don't need medical coverage. Youth isn't immunity. Tell that to the 24-year-old who shattered his ankle under rock wall, the 32-year-old who got appendicitis in Grand Cayman, or the honeymooners who both got severe food poisoning in Cozumel and needed IV rehydration. All under 35, all faced 4-figure bills. Accidents are the leading cause of medical claims for cruisers under 40. Slip and falls, sports injuries from rock climbing or zip lining, jet ski crashes in port, alcohol-related incidents, and infections, especially gastrointestinal. Ships move. Decks are slippery. Excursions are unregulated in many ports. Young cruisers assume they're healthy, so in the worst case, they'll pay a few $100. Reality? Accidents dominate under 40 claims. Offshore bills start at $2,000 and climb fast. The common mistake is skipping insurance entirely or buying the cheapest trip cancellation only plan. The pro move? At minimum, get a policy with $50,000 offshore medical plus $25,000 evacuation. It costs $40 to $80 for a week-long cruise. Real example.
A solo traveler, age 29, broke his collarbone during a zipline excursion in Honduras. The local clinic charged $3,200. His U.S. insurer denied the claim. Not in network, procedure performed abroad. His travel insurance was reimbursed in full. Pro tip: if you booked adventure excursions, ATVing, scuba, parasailing, confirm your policy doesn't exclude high-risk activities. Many budget plans do. Look for adventure sports or hazardous activities riders. If you're sailing Virgin Voyages or Norwegian, ships with party ship reputations, don't skip this coverage. Young cruisers face accident risk. Older cruisers face a different trap. Myth number 6 is the Medicare blackout. We're halfway through, and if you're feeling a pit in your stomach, good. That means you're paying attention. Here's the good news. Every single myth I'm exposing has a fix, and I've created a free downloadable checklist that walks you through auditing your current coverage, comparing plans, and asking your insurer the right questions. Link is in the description. Grab it now, and let's keep going. And if this is saving you from a 5-figure mistake, hit that like button and subscribe so YouTube shows this to other cruisers who need it. All right, myth number 6, the Medicare coverage trap. Myth number 6, Medicare or Medicaid covers me abroad or on a ship. Medicare does not cover health care outside the United States, period. That includes cruise ships in international waters, ports in Mexico, the Caribbean, Europe, anywhere. If you're over 65 and cruising without supplemental coverage, you are uninsured the moment you sail. Many retirees assume Medicare Advantage or Medigap cover them. Some Medigap plans, C, D, F, G, M, N, offer limited foreign travel emergency coverage up to $50,000 lifetime, but only after a $250 deductible and only for the first 60 days of travel. Medicaid has zero international or offshore coverage. Retirees assume they paid into Medicare for 40 years, so of course they're covered. Reality? Medicare equals U.S. only. Even Medigap has caps, exclusions, and time limits abroad. The common mistake is sailing on Medicare alone, assuming emergency means automatic coverage. The pro move? Buy a standalone travel medical policy, medical only, not trip cancellation, from HTH Worldwide, Geo Blue, or IMG. Plans start at $100 to $200 for a 2-week cruise. Real example, a 72-year-old failed Royal Caribbean Alaska. She fell and fractured her hip on board. Stabilized, then airlifted to Anchorage. Surgery cost $38,000. Rehab cost $12,000. Medicare paid $0. She had no supplement. Her family refinanced their home. Pro tip: if you have Medigap Plan F or G, call your insurer and ask, does my foreign travel benefit cover cruise ship medical centers and helicopter evacuation? Get it in writing. Many reps don't know offshore nuances. Medicare won't save you. Myth number 7 is the clause that won't save you either, and it's the single most important thing to check in any policy. Myth number 7, emergency coverage equals they pay for anything urgent. The stabilize and disembark trap. This is the big reveal I teased earlier. You're having a heart attack. The ship's doctor stabilizes you, gets your heart rhythm under control, manages pain, keeps you alive. The ship diverts to the nearest port. You're put in an ambulance and transferred to a local hospital. Insurance denies your claim for the ship's care. Why? The stabilize and disembark clause. Cruise lines are required by maritime law to stabilize passengers and get them to definitive care ashore as quickly as possible. Insurers argue that onboard stabilization is not emergency treatment. It's a holding pattern. Some policies only cover treatment that fully resolves the issue or treatment at a licensed shoreside facility. If the ship's doctor gives you oxygen, an EKG, and morphine, then disembarks you 6 hours later, the insurer may classify that as non-emergent stabilization and deny the $3,000 to $8,000 clinic bill. Emergency coverage sounds like if it's urgent, they pay. What policies actually say, stabilization does not equal treatment. On board does not equal licensed facility.
The common mistake is assuming emergency medical means the insurer pays for any urgent scenario. The pro move, look for policies that explicitly cover shipboard emergency treatment or unlicensed maritime medical providers. Very few budget plans include this language. Alternative option, use a cruise line's offered plan. Carnival's Vacation Protection, Royal's Sea Pass Insurance, they often cover their own medical centers because they underwrite the policy. Real example, a passenger had an allergy, anaphylaxis, treated on board with epinephrine and IV Benadryl. Disembarked in Cozumel, fined 12 hours later. Onboard bill, $2,400. Third-party insurer denied it. Stabilization, not treatment. Royal's own plan would have covered it. Pro tip, read the policy certificate, not the marketing page. Search the PDF for stabilization, on board, ship, maritime, and unlicensed. If those words appear in exclusions, run. That's the scariest coverage gap. Myth number 8 is the most expensive if you're traveling as a family.
Myth number 8. My family plan covers all of us equally. Families get tripped up by per-person limits and age bands. You buy a $200 family travel insurance plan covering you, your spouse, and 2 kids. Your spouse has a medical emergency costing $60,000. Your policy limit is $50,000 per person. Great, mostly covered. But then your daughter breaks her leg 2 days later. You've now hit the $100,000 family aggregate cap. Her $8,000 treatment? You're paying out of pocket. Many family plans have per person and aggregate caps, total family maximum. Worse, kids under 2 or elderly parents traveling with you may have different exclusions. Infants equal higher risk, sometimes excluded. Seniors trigger age bands that increase premiums or add exclusions. Family plans imply one price, everyone's covered fully. Reality, aggregate caps, age exclusions, and per-person limits stack. The common mistake is assuming one family policy means everyone gets full coverage independently. The pro move? Buy individual policies if anyone in your party has a pre-existing condition or if you're traveling with multi-generational groups, grandparents plus grandkids. Aggregate caps can bite hard. Real example, family of 5 on a Disney cruise. Dad has a kidney stone, needs IV fluids and pain management, $4,200. Son fractures his wrist on the water slide, $3,800. Daughter gets severe seasickness, IV anti-nausea meds, $1,200. Total, $9,200. But the family policy aggregate cap is $50,000 medical. They're fine. But if Dad had needed surgery costing $40,000, the remaining $10,000 aggregate wouldn't have covered the other 2 kids. Pro tip. For families with kids under 12 or traveling with grandparents, compare per person versus family pricing. Sometimes individual plans cost only $30 more and eliminate aggregate cap headaches. Family caps are confusing. Myth number 9 is infuriating. It's the denial you never see coming. Myth number 9. If I'm sick or injured, they'll definitely pay my claim. Claims get denied for reasons you never predict. You did everything right, bought insurance early, disclosed conditions, kept receipts, claim denied. Why? You didn't call the 24-hour hotline before treatment, or you accepted treatment from a provider not on the approved list, a list you didn't know existed, or the insurer argues the injury was due to reckless behavior. Common denial triggers. Failure to notify the insurer within 24 to 72 hours of treatment, even if unconscious. Your travel companion or family is expected to call. Second, accepting care from non-network or non-approved providers. Many policies require pre-authorization for non-emergency treatment. Third, alcohol or drug involvement. If the ship's report mentions drinking, even socially, some insurers deny claims for injuries that occurred afterward. Fourth, missed documentation. You need itemized bills, medical records, proof of payment, and often a physician's letter explaining medical necessity. You expect filing a claim means getting paid.
Reality? Notification windows, pre-authorization, documentation, and behavior clauses are denial landmines. The common mistake is assuming good faith filing equals automatic payout. The pro move? Photograph and keep copies of everything. Call the insurer's emergency line immediately and get a claim number. If you're in a port clinic or foreign hospital, ask for English itemized receipts and diagnosis codes. Real example. A passenger sprained an ankle on an excursion, treated at a port clinic, paid $800 cash, filed a claim with scanned receipt. Denial reason? No proof of medical necessity. I needed a doctor's note. Resubmitted with note, approved 6 weeks later. Set the insurer's emergency number as a favorite in your phone before sailing. Documentation trips up claims. Myth number 10 is the trap hiding in your credit card.
Myth number 10. My credit card's travel insurance is enough. Credit card travel benefits are a great backup, but terrible as primary coverage. You booked your cruise with your Chase Sapphire Preferred and Amex Gold, and you see trip cancellation and emergency medical in the benefits guide. You're covered, right? Not even close. Break down the gaps. Trip cancellation and interruption benefits only cover trips charged 100% to that card. If you paid a deposit on the card and the rest with cash or another card, you're only covered for the deposit amount. Emergency medical benefits typically cap at $2,500 to $10,000. Premium cards like Sapphire Reserve go up to $100,000 for evacuation, but medical treatment caps at $2,500. Pre-existing conditions almost never covered. Many cards exclude adventure activities. Claims process? Card benefits are secondary. You must file with your primary insurance first, then submit denials to the card company. Card marketing says comprehensive travel protection. Reality? Low caps, card payment only triggers, secondary filing, pre-existing exclusions. Real example. A traveler booked an $8,000 cruise on Amex Platinum, which has a $10,000 trip cancellation benefit. Paid $3,000 deposit on Amex, $5,000 balance via bank transfer. Had to cancel due to illness. Amex reimbursed $3,000 only. The common mistake is assuming a premium card equals full coverage. The pro move, use card benefits as a secondary layer. Pay your entire cruise on a premium card, but also buy standalone travel insurance. If you have a claim, file with both and maximize reimbursement. Chase Sapphire Reserve and Amex Platinum have the best medical evacuation coverage, up to $100,000, but treatment caps are low. Pair them with a $50,000 medical plan for full protection. Cards are great for trip cancellation and lost baggage, weak for medical. 10 myths down, now let's talk about what you should do instead. The final section is your action plan. The big reveal, what to buy instead, your 2025 action plan. You've seen what doesn't work. Here's what does, and I'll break it down by budget and risk profile. Tier 1, bare minimum. For budget travelers, short cruises, low medical risk, buy a basic comprehensive plan with at least $50,000 offshore medical, $25,000 emergency evacuation, $10,000 trip cancellation, and a 24-hour assistance hotline. Providers include Allianz One Trip Basic and Travel Guard Essential. Cost? $40 to $100 for a week-long cruise. If you're under 50, healthy, and sailing the Caribbean on Carnival or Royal for 7 days or less, this tier is acceptable. But read the stabilize and disembark exclusions. Tier 2, recommended for most. Families, cruisers over 50, anyone with pre-existing conditions. Buy a comprehensive plan with a pre-existing condition waiver within 14 to 21 days of your initial deposit. Must include $100,000 or more offshore medical, $50,000 emergency evacuation, $25,000 repatriation, and cancel for any reason coverage. CFAR adds 40 to 50% to your premium, but refunds 50 to 75% of trip costs for any reason. Must cover onboard and unlicensed providers. Providers include TravelX Travel Select, Generali Premium, HTH Worldwide Trip Protector. Cost? $150 to $350 for a $5,000 to $8,000 cruise. If anyone in your party takes any daily medication,
blood pressure, cholesterol, thyroid, antidepressants, this tier is non-negotiable. Tier 3, maximum protection. Seniors, luxury cruises, remote itineraries, serious pre-existing conditions. Start with Tier 2, then add a standalone medical evacuation membership. MedJet costs $399 per year for a family. Global Rescue runs $399 to $699. These cover unlimited cost evacuation to your home hospital, no caps, no questions, including non-medical evacuations like political unrest or natural disaster. Add the cruise line's own insurance if offered. Carnival Vacation Protection, Princess Platinum Plan, they cover their own medical centers and have insider claims processes. Total cost, $400 to $800 per year plus per trip premiums. If you're sailing Antarctica, transatlantic, Alaska, or Asia, if you're over 70, if you have cancer history, cardiac issues, or COPD, this is your tier. Save $100 on insurance, risk a $50,000 bill. Or spend $200 to $400 and sleep soundly at sea. Action steps. Do these now. Download the free checklist, audit your coverage tonight. Call your insurer and ask 5 questions. Does it cover unlicensed shipboard clinics? What's the evacuation cap? Is repatriation unlimited? Is there a pre-existing waiver and did I activate it? What's the notification window? Compare at least 3 plans on SquareMouth or Insure My Trip. Set a calendar reminder to buy insurance within 14 days of your next deposit. Screenshot this timeline. Deposit, buy insurance within 14 days, save confirmation email, add insurer hotline to phone contacts, pack copies of your policy certificate. That's your roadmap. Let me wrap this up and give you your next step. We've busted the myths. Onboard clinics aren't covered by domestic insurance. Evacuation and repatriation are separate and capped. Pre-existing waivers are time bombs you trigger by missing deadlines. Medicare stops at the border. Stabilize and disembark clauses void claims for shipboard treatment. Family plans have aggregate caps that leave someone uncovered. Claims get denied for missing paperwork and notification windows. Credit cards are a weak backup. Now you know what to do. Buy the right tier for your risk. Get the pre-existing waiver within 14 days of deposit. Add a medevac rider if you're high risk. Audit everything before you sail. Before this video, blind hope. After this video, informed, protected, confident. If you want to go deeper, watch my video on how to choose the best cruise line for your medical needs. I rank the lines by onboard medical facilities, telemedicine access, and private clinic partnerships. Link in the description. Grab the free checklist, compare those plans, and if this video just saved you 5 figures, share it with every cruiser you know. Safe sailing, and I'll see you on the next one.